We've been working extremely hard during this first milestone and are excited to show our goals for the project, how and why these have changed over time, and what we've accomplished so far. First, I'll give an overview of the project's mission. Then I'll dive into the work each team has done individually. And finally, we'll wrap up with our next steps for Milestone 2. Initially, our milestone goals were focused on implementation. Team 1 had to implement the basic login and sign-up systems, create database schemas for users, while Team 2 had to build a database schema for the items, implement basic UI for posting and viewing items. Team 3 would manage creating a basic UI for sending messages and setting up the database for real-time messaging, while finally Team 4 would design and develop the main homepage UI and ensure the front-end design for the whole project was coherent. However, as we learned more and got some advice from the professor, we shifted our focus to establishing clear documentation and research to make our implementation decisions based off of. Therefore, our new milestone goals were focused on research instead of implementation to make sure we had a solid foundation off of which to build off. Why make this project at all? Finding housing for university students in Mayagüez is extremely difficult. Information is scattered and listings are often outdated or incomplete. There is no single trustworthy resource. As a result, both students and landlords struggle to find each other efficiently or securely. Students are often forced to rely on word of mouth, which is slow and incomprehensive. Searching in person is often the only choice, which is time consuming and ineffective, especially for those students who live far from campus. The platforms that do exist fail to provide what students and landlords need to complete the full process safely. Mainly, they lack payment options, effective methods to compare listings, effective methods to negotiate price. They lack protected communication channels, reviews or verifications to ensure listing legitimacy, and ways to find roommates. But as a landlord, it doesn't get any easier. Some even hesitate to list their properties online due to concerns about scams. And screening prospective tenants can be cumbersome without a system in place. They are often forced to manage multiple listings across various platforms, which can lead to high time investments with no guarantee for results and inconsistent information across the listings. Our solution: room housing. Students who are already overburdened don't need any more hassles. We believe finding a home away from home for your university studies can and should be frictionless. Our project aims to address these issues by creating an all-in-one platform designed specifically for UPRM students by UPRM students, where you can find an apartment, a roommate if you want one, negotiate a price, and pay securely all in one place. To accomplish this and become the go-to platform to find an apartment for your studies at UPRM, we want to provide centralized listings so you don't need to look anywhere else. Filters for price, location, amenities, or proximity to campus so you find exactly what you're looking for. Secure built-in communication channels so you can keep a record of conversations and avoid getting scammed. And verification processes for landlords to reduce fraudulent postings. We are currently focused on the UPRM community, but may eventually expand to other universities or regions. Some of our derived goals are to support both short-term and long-term rentals, so semester and yearly periods respectively, to allow for future scalability beyond student housing, possibly including textbooks, furniture, or ride shares. And so far, our progress has been focused on having our requirements well-defined and clearly understanding how they are interconnected so we can make the best decisions when it comes to implementation and make sure that these decisions are aligned with our project mission. Team 1 was in charge of user authentication and accounts. As mentioned previously, our goals have changed over time after feedback from the professor. These are some of the mockups for the login and sign up pages for both mobile and desktop we created, but our main focus was in creating clear requirements, specifically for user registration and login. For example, the necessary length and special symbols needed to create a password, or requirements related to roles. For example, the need to be registered in order to create, read, update, and delete listings. These are some of the flowcharts we created that represent the user flow for both logging in and signing up. Login on the left, sign up on the right. As for our next steps, we will need to choose a new team leader, actually implement the login and sign up that we now have the user flows, UI mockups, and requirements for. And initially to do this, we want to create some dummy accounts and a placeholder website for testing and implementing. As for Team 2, they were in charge of listing and search. They focused on doing in-depth research on every possible feature that they could implement in their section of the project. Kevin, alongside Leah, worked on the domain description, which ensured everyone had a clear understanding of the project's scope, including its goals, key concepts, and the problem it aims to solve. This alignment helps reduce miscommunication and keep everyone focused on the same objectives. Additionally, they defined entities needed for projects such as students, properties, roommates, tenants, landlords, etc., and defined the terms by providing specific descriptions for all of them. They also created mockups for how their main page of listings and search should look like, and created a document of common search filters to be used for the search function, ranking them in order of importance to aid in prioritization when implementing. Some additional tasks they completed were finding the best way to manage inactive listings, researching how to enhance user experience when no results appear by suggesting similar listings, and finally researching APIs to enable Street View and show distance from nearby amenities, for example, the distance from the nearest pharmacy or supermarket. For their next steps, they will focus on the front end, where they'll develop the listing creation form, implement search functionality, and integrate filters along with sorting mechanisms. While the backend team will set up Firestore schemas, build API endpoints for CRUD operations, and optimize search performance. Once these features are developed, they'll then move to testing and optimization. Team 3 was in charge of chat notifications. They had the milestone goal of defining and establishing the requirements for a basic messaging system for real-time communication. This included choosing the real-time database they would utilize and defining the chat system's core features. This is an example of the mockups they created for the chat interface. They also focused on establishing clear requirements for user messaging and roles. For example, only logged in users can access messaging, and how conversations are restricted to buyers and sellers who are in a transaction. For their upcoming steps, they must choose a new team leader, implement real-time message delivery by utilizing what they chose, the Firebase real-time database, developing and testing message storage and retrieval, and ensuring message history is correctly displayed. Basically, they will implement what they have outlined in their documentation and research for this milestone. Finally, for Team 4, their main responsibility is the marketplace UI navigation. Their work has been crucial in ensuring the platform is both visually cohesive and easy to navigate. Essentially, they've crafted the requirements to create a user-friendly experience. To start, they established a solid foundation by creating the basic HTML and fundamental styles in styles.css. This early structuring allows everyone to work from a consistent framework, making sure the future feature integration runs smoothly. Another highlight of what they did is the navigation bar. They built a responsive nav bar that includes key links so that users can quickly jump to important sections. They implemented a routing system and detailed a style guide to avoid common mistakes. This will help us maintain a consistent brand across the entire site. Finally, their next steps involve making their designs responsive so they work on both mobile and desktop, integrating advanced UI elements like interactive maps and updated filters, and they will be in charge of collaborating with other teams to ensure that all newly added features blend seamlessly into the existing interface from a brand perspective as well as a UI perspective. The upcoming milestone, we will take advantage of the foundation we have built and start creating the marketplace based on the requirements we have specified. Now that milestone 1 focused on research and documentation, we will move to milestone 2, where we will start actual development. Team 1 will create the login and sign up pages. Team 2 will allow users to create listings. Team 3 will create the chat interface. And finally, Team 4 will create the homepage for easy navigation. Thank you.